Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Well, thank God it's Friday. We say that. I don't know why we don't say thank God it's Tuesday. But you know what I mean. It is the end of the week and we're in the Yuletide season. COVID-19, Omicron, it is very much out there according to all reports. Yes, we've been told that it's milder, but then it's supposed to be more contagious. The only saving grace, I think, is that the experts tell us that should you catch the Omicron variant, God forbid, the whole purpose is, well, not that the whole purpose, you shouldn't need hospitalization. And then also there is the whole matter of, the authorities in Nigeria have announced the booster doses. Even if you have already taken the 2 doses, as the case may be, let's say you went for AstraZeneca, you had both your doses, now you need a booster dose. And about a week ago, government had said that those doses were now available, the booster doses, and people should do everything to, avail themselves of the opportunity of a booster dose in addition to the full 2 jabs that were required if you happen to go with the Pfizer variant. I do know that there is one, I think it is the Johnson, I'm not sure, that is just 1 shot. Okay, it's not as if we'll be talking COVID-19 particularly today. You remember back in the Anambra election period, there were these conflicting orders. So most of you would probably have seen, it won't be from here that you're hearing for the first time, that the NJC, the National Judicial Council, has waded into the affair to stop the whole matter of conflicting orders by courts of, what is it now? Equal jurisdiction. So it's a high court here, then you rush to another jurisdiction, you go and get, a conflicting order to neutralize the order that was got somewhere else. Well, now the Judicial Council is saying it won't stand for it, and judges will indeed be penalized. In fact, one of the judges that was involved it's been said that he will be remaining on his current position for the next 5 years, and other ones will not have the opportunity for promotion in the next 2 years or so. So yeah, I guess most people, it'll make most sense to most of us in the sense that here the rest of us are, depending on the courts, that whatever the court says, we'll go with that. And they were beginning to make rubbish out of it. So we have on Zoom, a friend of the house. We've spoken about this before. Chukwuma Ezeala, he's a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Good morning, Chukwuma.
Yes, good morning. How are you today?
Indeed, very well. Yes. Thank you very much. And
thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. Now in studio we have Mr. Akingbolu, Mr. Kabir Akingbolu. He's a legal practitioner as well and a human rights activist. Thank you very much for coming on.
It's a pleasure for having me on the program.
Indeed, our pleasure. Chukwuma, let me start with you. The action of the NJC now taking a very dim view of those contradictory orders that are coming from courts of competent, coordinate jurisdiction. Is that what you? Yes, courts of coordinate jurisdiction. It looks like we were really given a rough time, that is we the citizenry, during the whole Anambra election. Were you happy about this, that the NJC is taking a very dim view and has indeed taken action?
Number one is nobody is happy. Nigerians are not happy, but particularly people from our own constituency, the lawyers, we felt very bad. And why do we feel very bad? The court is the hope of the common man. It's the last hope of the common man. And the decisions of the court, whatever emanates from the court, should make people happy. And what is this ex-parte injunction? Injunction is a discretionary remedy. It's discretionary and it is meant to preserve something that will immediately damage. So I don't know, it started historically. It was from the court of equity in those days in England, where a judge is given the latitude to preserve the res, to preserve the property, to preserve the life of people. So that the essence of giving the ex-parte injunction is in case the thing can no longer be restored. You know,
yes.
For instance, if somebody is to be killed, you go for ex-parte. You know, if somebody's property is to be brought down, in which case it may be difficult, especially somebody's abode. That is the historical, view of that ex-parte. Now, you now have courts, and when a court has issued an ex-parte injunction or an ex-parte order, no other court of coordinate jurisdiction should do something on it. Now, we saw a lot of them, even those that ought not to be seized of jurisdiction, those that ought not to make orders concerning the rest or concerning the matter, they all went into that place. It's a dark period. I mean, the judiciary or some of them, but that is also, when we come to that, this is why some of us say that we must be very careful on who to be appointed into the judiciary. It must be somebody who is sober, but we'll get to that place. But we're not happy. Many of us are not happy with the position of things.
Yeah, indeed. And Kabir, returning to you, I suppose your legal, friend there, I don't expect your position to be much different.
No, it cannot be different, in fact, because he has stated the position of the law. However, the problem we have again is if there is no giver of bribe, there will not be taker. If there is no taker of bribe, there will not be giver. Now, when we blame the judiciary, we have to blame lawyers as well, because lawyers and judges were partners in progress, and we belong to the same constituency. And before you can be a judge, you were first a lawyer, and we work hand in hand. Then, if you punish the judges, what happened to the lawyers that are engaged in all of this? The judges will bear, some blame, but lawyers will bear a lot, because, for instance,
but judges are the gatekeepers.
Yeah,
the lawyer can bring anything he or she likes.
I'm coming there. For instance, a judge sitting in Kano, you have brought facts to him. A judge only deals with the facts before the court. Now, you as a lawyer, you are already aware. You are acting for Mr. A. Mr. A and Mr. B are taking themselves to court in Anambra State, and they have gotten an injunction against Mr. A. You now represent Mr. A again in Kano State to present another application for injunction. You didn't tell the court that there had been an injunction against your client there. You now got another injunction against Mr. B also. Now, this is where the problem lies. Now, for not disclosing the material facts to the court is an offense. You understand? If you have suppressed facts, the court can only act on the fact before it, but there are some very, very clear cases that are very fundamentally wrong. For instance, in the case of Anambra State that you mentioned earlier, how can somebody leave the shore of Anambra State and go to Kebbi State to go and take an injunction? And this is where I disagree with the NJC. The punishment is not enough. It doesn't serve as enough deterrent. So judges should be dismissed. Okay. Because if punishment is not adequate, there is no where people will not be committing offense. That is why in Nigeria, when people talk of plea bargaining, if you steal 1 billion naira, they will give you, say, okay, out of 1 billion, I'm returning 900 million. They will give you 6 months imprisonment. Many people will be ready to risk it. Only few people will not want to risk it because they know the suffering is just for a little time and you start to enjoy it. So if a judge knows that, for whatever reason, this person is my political friend, is my associate or whoever, is my kinsman or whatever, and you have given an injunction in his favor to favor him, you have satisfied that purpose. You know that they only say you can't be promoted in 2 years. It's not a punishment.
Okay. Well, Justice Okogbule Basam and Justice Nusirat Umar, these two judges will not move to the higher bench, I understand, in the next 2 years. And in the case of Justice Edem Kofre of the High Court of Cross River, he's going to remain frozen in his position for the next 5 years. Chukwuma, what do you think? Your legal brother here has said that these are not harsh enough. Give me what's your position on this whole matter?
Yeah, certainly I agree with him. It's not harsh enough. But also I commend NJC to have woken up. The facts of, I have always told people that crimes will reduce once the gatekeepers will at least call the person and say, why did you do this? So to that extent, I commend the NJC for waking up. Now, if you say you're freezing their elevation, many of them may never get elevated. I mean, how many spaces do you have? And we have more than 1,000 judges. So many of them will never be due to be elevated. Some of them will be retired in the next 2 years and may never have an opportunity of being elevated. So I think the punishment is not really adequate. But we must commend the NJC for at least attempting. This is not the first time we are seeing this. We have seen it many times. And the NJC at that time never deemed it fit to do something. And then also we must give, I must say, we must give great gratitude to the MBA. The current MBA being led by Mr. Atta also has taken steps towards disciplining the lawyers. He said at the NEC meeting yesterday, they are referring the lawyers who ought to bring this to the notice of the judges, relevant judges, that this matter, something has happened somewhere. Lawyers are also officers in the temple of justice. So I think when both are disciplined, it will be very easy for us to say, let's put a stop to this madness, because it is madness in our view.
Indeed. We hear from lawyers sometimes that, well, unfortunately, the law does seem to be an ass on occasion, because sometimes strictly adhering to the law sort of results in, incongruous situations. But you say, sorry, that's the law. Now, take Edem Kufre of the High Court of Cross River. He is going to remain in his current position for the next 5 years. They must have taken a very, very dim view. But Okogbule Gbasam and Nusirat Umar, those ones will just not be moving to the higher bench in the next 2 years. Now, we were talking about the gatekeeper. That's what I think the judge is. Lawyers, well, it is what lawyers do, unfortunately. It is just what lawyers do. They're looking for any possible way to, give their client the victory. Now, but nevertheless, as we experienced in Anambra is in the east here.
Yeah.
You took off and went to the north.
Yes.
And you got an injunction there. Do those judges, you see, we are just ordinary, how do you people refer to us? You like to refer to us in one kind of funny way like that.
Laymen.
Something like that. Or unlearned.
You are educated.
You are learned.
Yes.
The rest of us are unlearned.
Educated.
We don't think we need to study law to know that, hang on, you can't be in Anambra, on an issue in Anambra, and then come and meet me here in the north.
Exactly.
So even that particular gatekeeper, many people won't understand it, apart from the law being an ass.
Yes, there are a lot of jurisdictional questions that comes to play. We have subject matter jurisdiction, we have territorial jurisdiction, and so on and so forth. Then we have composition jurisdiction, in the sense that the judge himself is qualified to even adjudicate about the matter, or the member of the panel, so on. Or if something has happened in the north, can you bring it from the north to the south? Even though there is only one federal high court judge. I mean, one federal high court in Nigeria is single jurisdiction, you understand? But then we have what they call territorial jurisdiction. You cannot take a matter from Lagos to Abuja or to some other place. But what some of the lawyers cleverly do is to add INEC as a party. So INEC head office is in Abuja. You will now litigate in Abuja and said the domiciliary of the defendant determines jurisdiction. That because INEC's head of court quarter is in Abuja, then the Abuja Federal High Court or whatever, FCT, we have jurisdiction. Or that the headquarter of PDP or APC or whichever party is in Abuja, they should have jurisdiction. This is not supposed to be. Now, all these things happen. Recently, I know of I think Ekiti State, the account of Ekiti was garnished by a Federal High Court.
Indeed.
On a matter that is supposed to end in Ekiti State High Court.
Exactly.
These are things that are very clear that the judge himself is a red signal that what are these people trying to dodge by running from Ekiti State High Court to Federal High Court, I have no jurisdiction. So if judges should take over that matter, so judge deserves no pity.
And that is where
the lawyers also should go. We should discipline them. There are disciplinary measures for lawyers who do such things.
Because otherwise, thank you for what you're saying. Same thing with what Chukwuma is also saying. Otherwise, those of us that are unlearned begin to wonder, does truth have anything to do with the law? And is the law and the truth, are they one?
They are brothers.
They can be brothers.
Yeah, the judges must search for the truth.
Okay.
And what you now look for is probability.
Okay.
Because like Aristotle said, that probability has never been caught, give it false testimony. So if an action looks probable, then it is likely to be true. You may not be able to get the exact truth because you are not God. Okay. That is what what the judges do, is to approximate it by saying, okay, the story of this person and this person, which one is looks more probable.
Let us talk to someone who deals in the truth. At least he's teaching his people the truth. Reverend Dominic, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Yori.
Yeah, I was just asking whether the truth has very much to do with the law in this society.
Can you hear me?
Well, yes. Can you hear us too?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Issue here is this. It is just a tap at the back or a slap in the back, is the way we say it. What do you mean a man?
Okay, a slap on the wrist.
Now, a man who gives a bad judgment, you ask him to remain, he's not going to be promoted for 5 years. What kind of judgment will that judge give in 5 years' time? Knowing I'm not going to be promoted, what kind of judgment? What we need is to sack him, totally. So he will teach somebody a lesson. The problem of Nigeria is impunity. Number two, the lawyers are now smiling to bank. Do you know when he went to prison in London? A lawyer also went to prison in London because of he brought a very stupid, questionable document to the court. And the court said they want to defeat them because the judge depends on the lawyer. The judge is not in Anambra or in the East. It's in the court. It's the lawyer, whatever the lawyer presents, that he will just get on. The lawyer was punished also. And the judge is supposed to be a time bomb. What are you going to expect a judge who don't know he's not going to have a promotion? He has to make everything possible so that he can have his own gratuity, with his own judgment. So we must sack all of them if we are serious.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. When I look at it, Chukwuma, it's like, look, Bazam, Umar, Kufre, justice is all. When you discipline them like that, in 2 cases you've said they won't be moving for the next 2 years. In 1 case you've said the person is frozen in his current rank or position or whatever judges use for the next 5 years. But they can still continue. And taking that is continue doing what they do, which is considering issues and delivering judgments. I don't know what the NJC sees it, and I want to know how you also see it. Look, these people who have been compromised, so to speak, they've been publicly disciplined, their names have been mentioned. Aren't they now working under a sort of stigma might not be the word, but you appear before such a judge, and you know that this judge, he has misbehaved. This judge cannot move in the next 5 years. This one that I'm in front of, so for 2 years he's frozen. Does it not somehow trouble, I won't say compromise, does it not trouble the whole process of getting judgment from upright men and women that are supposed to be beyond normal reproach?
Yes, thank you. And that is why some of us are not particularly happy with the level of discipline that has been meted out. Ordinarily, you see, everything must not be provided in the law. Because why one is being appointed a judge is that he should have some level of discretionary powers so as to deal with the truth. You're calling him a judge. You're calling them justices. So justices are supposed to deal with the truth. Justice and truth, there is no dichotomy. And that's why they are called justice, so and so. The discretionary powers are meant to be used to enhance justice. Now, when they misuse it, or when the discretionary powers is used in such a way not contemplated, then the gatekeepers, the NJC, ought to act. And then the action should really be taken a bit more seriously. Now, we had at a particular time when some judges were accused of corruption. You remember there was a time DSS stormed on some of the judges. And some of them were asked to stop sitting. Some of them did not even sit for 2 years. Did not sit. They were not dismissed, but they did not sit. It may impact on the taxpayers' money when you're paying somebody. But then again, you can also do something concerning the salary. You can actually stop the salaries for the next 1 year. You can do something that next time another judge will not venture to get into this. And besides, they can also be investigated to find out whether they really acted, maybe
innocently, blindly.
Something induced them, So I think the NJC, I don't know, maybe they are fontis officio now, but I think they may have to revisit the sanctions already meted out to them, because the essence is to stop others who may go into that. Why would somebody in Zamfara assume jurisdiction over something that happened in Abuja?
Exactly.
And even if you say, oh, there is office of that person, the person doing it knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
And so we are not serious. We just continue this way.
Exactly.
If you tell me I'm not interested in going to the Court of Appeal and I'm a judge, and you tell me you're going to freeze me from going to the Court of Appeal for the next 2 years, maybe I want money. How much are they even paying those that are at Court of Appeal? I mean, as distinct from those that are in the High Court? Not much. So if somebody's, for instance, I'm not saying anybody was compromised monetarily. If somebody was compromised, or if somebody is ready to be compromised monetarily, you will see that what the person takes is more than whatever you can pay him as a justice of the Supreme Court. So what do? When you stop the person from sitting at all, maybe taking some other jobs within the judiciary, the jobs can be created for those people that are not going to be sitting. They can be asked to do some other jobs within the justice system.
Okay, Chukwuma, thank you very much. Stay with us, please. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Erring.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Uncle Erring, yesterday we were talking about another judge in our justice system. You see, what these judges are being punished for is, in my view, the lawyers, especially the senior lawyers, are more guilty of it. And they are the ones, I believe, should be more punished. That punishment in the first place is too small. I would expect that the judges concerned be demoted instead. But the lawyers themselves, who do these things in connivance with the judges, are the ones to blame more, because they are the liaising people. Without them, the lawyers, the judges will not be able to, give those verdicts. We know what they do in court. When it concerns them, there is nothing wrong in errors. But if a person from another sector offends a person from the judiciary, then you see our lawyers and judges rise up as if they are special citizens.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Let there be a flat treatment for people. Nobody is more important than the other in this house.
Indeed. We were talking about nobody being above the law yesterday. Thank you very much, Mr. George. The matter that Chukwuma brought up there, that, maybe the NJC needs to revisit this, because I don't want, but it does look as if you're trying to preserve the pensions or retirement benefits, and so to that extent there's an esprit de corps. You're not having a zero tolerance for hanky-panky, which I think is sorely needed in the Nigerian public space. There's so much going on that is untoward, and quite frankly, the judicial system, the judiciary, is struggling. Because it is actually struggling in terms of morality, which is a horrible thing to actually have to say. But there are koro cases out there, if one wants to cite them, that shows that the judiciary itself is struggling.
Yeah. It has happened in the past. Like my learned friend has said, Mr. Chukwuma, that when maybe they are well, fine. Just like Ganifa, he said, you don't pay somebody for doing his job. You only tell him to do more if he has not done enough. Good enough. We are just like we have agreed. We had them that, well, the punishment is just not enough, and all the people that have called him have also agreed, which means we might not be making a mistake. Because now, just like Mr. Chukwuma said, how many people are even promoted? How many? Where is the? These places are not there. And Mr. George, or one of the callers mentioned something now, and you say you discussed something like that yesterday about somebody not being above the law. We used to make mistakes here.
No, we were making the point. We were making the point that there is nobody who is above the law.
Yes, that is how it's supposed to be. But you see, some of us, whether the public or even the lawyers or the press, they make some, like recently, so a particular judge, this in the radar, it is wrong to put judges under unnecessary pressure or surveillance when there is no reasonable ground. Exactly. However, we must always also know that nobody is above the law. That
Indeed.
is the principle of the rule of law.
That exactly was what we were talking about yesterday.
Recently, people are saying, oh, they raided the judges out. There is a dichotomy. There is judges, apartment, Supreme Court judge quarters. That was not where they went. Somebody who is in a husband's house and they came to, to charge the husband's house. When you say it's the judge's house, but people make it to look as if they are looking for the judge. These are the mistakes that we are making. If a judge or a lawyer has committed an offense, if they punish, if doctors, make mistake in his professional capacity, they punish him, they discipline him. Medical and dental practitioner disciplinary committee, pharmacists the same thing, lawyers the same thing.
Okay, I was going to say lawyers too. Yes.
Yes. Why will you not punish judges if they have made a mistake? We are all equal. Even
but they have punished.
You understand?
NJC will say to you that we have done something now.
You're just like a scratch in the back, or a pat in the hand, like the man said. So
a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, you in the wrist rather. You should make a punishment to be commensurate with the offense committed. And when you talk of stigmatization, somebody is already stigmatized. When you say he's not going to be promoted, is there the respect from the lawyer to the judge? There won't be. But Mr. Chukwuma has said something, because we are in our society, we do our own things in a particular way.
Exactly.
People may not be bothered. Well, I can make enough money if it is somebody who has a corrupt mind. This is the problem. So henceforth, I think there is a provision, there is one practice that the Federal High Court has put in place, that there should be exchange of judgments once it is passed, so that people can know. So this is where we are. Not that somebody will pass a judgment today and another court in another place will say, I'm not aware. It is not supposed to be.
Okay.
Justice Nikitobi of blessed memory, advised in 2017 or thereabout that it has reached the stage that we should start circulating our judgments.
Okay, let me take Bernard now. Good morning, Bernard.
Yes, good morning, Uncle Yuri.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Okay, please. I am happy for this move to try to sanction the judge. But we need to be very careful to establish something. This truth of a thing has a lot of aspects. There is a legal truth, moral truth, religious truth. So when we talk about the judges handling their case, which truth are we judging them on? So we have to be careful so that we don't be guilty as they are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernard. I don't know if Bernard is a lawyer, because that was spoken like a lawyer. Truth is truth now.
That's what I want to say.
Truth is truth.
If he is talking like that, upon what truth did the judge, do they adjudicate and give judgment?
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
We have to ask them, upon what truth? Is it political truth or moral truth or legal truth? This is the issue.
Okay, Chukwuma, let me just say, Mr. Chukwuma Ezeala, he's on Zoom. We'll just take a quick break now. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Same course goes for Kabir Akingbolu in studio. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Having this conversation with Mr. Chukwuma Ezeala and Kabir Akingbolu in studio, and of course with you out there as well. Now, Chukwuma, Bernard called in. You must have heard the call. You also might have heard me wondering if Bernard was a lawyer, because sometimes these things come out and you begin to wonder, Bernard said, when we mention truth in relation to the kind of thing we're talking about, we have to be very, very careful about which truth. Is it a religious truth? Is it a psychological truth? Is it a moral truth? Is it a legal truth? You see, this is a problem. This is what you lawyers do. Which truth are we talking about? Oh yeah, grab hold of that one.
Number one, truth, as the name implies, is truth. And that is the correct position of things.
Aha.
Now, how to get to that truth, how to get to the truth, that is the roadmap to getting to the truth, is an issue. How do you get to the truth? The judge is seeking for lawyers to get him to the place of truth. And the truth is just to prove that what you have is the truth. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's not an absolute term. I think it's the roadmap that is the problem with some people. Now, what does the judge do? The judge is asking you say this thing is white. How do you know it's white? Because he was not there when it happened. You know, so he wants to be sure, she wants to be sure that you are saying the truth. Whether you call it religious truth, you call it legal truth, you call it anything, it remains true. That is a fact, the position of things as it is.
Yes.
That's what everybody is trying to look at. Whether it's religious, anything you call it truth is truth. Please.
Exactly.
If you're now saying what is the roadmap to discovering the truth, nobody is only God. You remember, it's God that is the truth.
Yes.
God is justice. God is the truth about it. He knows everything from the beginning.
Exactly.
God was there when it happened. You know, you are not there. The judge is not there. The lawyer himself is not there. It's actually the parties who may be there.
Yes.
And sometimes this is what they believe that is true. So
and the judge and the lawyers have a job of work to do. Mostly on behalf of a client, and quite frankly, it becomes warfare in court. You know, a judge, a lawyer is not obliged, I would imagine, not that I'm a lawyer myself, but it makes common sense. A lawyer is not obliged to point out errors that his opposite person is making, especially if those errors or non-disclosures will be, will be working for his case. So I don't know. I'm not going to go as far as saying that lawyers.
I think is it the Bible that say if you do something, the two shall set you free. Is it?
It's just that courts are not Christian churches.
Now, you see, anybody is
you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Unfortunately, the court court can ask you to come and swear on iron now.
Yeah, they will tell you to do that. Even one of my friends jokingly said that why my daughter was asking me that, Daddy, you say somebody will ask, I will tell all the whole truth. Why are you still doubting when he has spoken? This is the thing. Now, when you look at it holistically, Justice Nsofo in the case of Ogbenta and Izeribe say, how does a court find truth in a matter? He said you find truth. He said truth is not a common vegetation on earth.
Okay.
He said what judges do is approximation of fact. That if a story looks probable, that it is likely to be true, and that when a story looks improbable, it is likely to be a lie. That according to Aristotle, he now quoted Aristotle, that according to Aristotle, as he said long time ago, that probability has not been caught to be given false testimony. So if you have looked at
that's why judges have a leeway. They have this discretion that you're talking about.
In the case of Mogaji and Odofi, the court laid down that the court will look at whose story is heavier on this imaginary scale of justice. So the one that is heavier will get judgment.
Thank you very much for holding on. I have someone. Mr. Joshua in Irewolide. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And happy weekend to you.
Indeed, same to you. And good compliments of the season.
Thank you, sir. I greet your guests too.
Thank you very much.
Uncle Yori, we are at the threshold of maybe building a nation. And I'm hopeful that we will be able to achieve a nation, because there are so many of us that have nowhere to go. I happen to belong to the minority tribe in Nigeria, as we are called. I'm from Kogi State. So sometimes when the Yorubas, Hausas, and Igbos are talking, they forget the rest of us. we have nowhere to go.
Which is one of our problems.
You see, the topic of yesterday and today, I lump them together in one thing. If we are going to build a nation, we need a strong judiciary. Uncle Yori, we need a strong judiciary. You need to be able to get to the police station and get justice. Not that somebody will pay, and the one who takes the case to the station now becomes the accused. So we need a very, very strong, vibrant judiciary to achieve a nation. And so, when you look at all these judges, what they are doing now, it doesn't concern me. I was going to tell you very hardly yesterday, I'm sorry that they invaded the home of the person they invaded. But the other side is this. When you are the judge, you should be above board, sir. You should be above board. Let us take the conversation back to these people that, okay, the crime has been committed, so to say, but you, the judge, are your hands clean? Have you come to equity with a clean hand. Let our judges from now begin to see that if their hallowed chambers are being intruded, if what used to be an abomination in those days is now becoming the norm, let them go and call themselves and begin to put their homes in order before things get worse. If not, we are going somewhere
Indeed.
to sell Nigeria. Nobody will buy them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's tremendously important, as both you gentlemen were pointing out, you and Chukwuma Ezeala, because the people, the ordinary person who doesn't have the money to hire or retain an SAN, he wants to believe that, look, I need a competent lawyer, but the truth is the truth. Let's take it before a judge. But unfortunately, we've gotten to a level in this country where the more money you have, the more truth apparently you can manifest, truth so-called within our courts. And Chukwuma, this is a problem, right? This is a problem. I know that most ordinary people will not be able to afford to engage an SAN. But even when you don't have a good case, in other words, your case is probably lacking in merit, if you've got enough to pump into it, the lawyers can work wonders. It's like sometimes giving your tailor 1 yard and you want a suit out of it. There must be jacket in there and there must be trouser in there. If you have enough money to pay, apparently some people think that you can get that suit out of that 1 yard that normally takes 3.5 yards.
I think, yes, to a reasonable extent, money will assist you to get to something. But also, there are a lot of good lawyers out there who are not SANs and who can do the work pretty well. You know, it doesn't follow that when one is an SAN.
I didn't mean to imply that. I just meant to imply that there's a scale. And even if you get the most expensive lawyer, you're not necessarily guaranteed. So thank you for, sorry for interrupting you, sir. I agree with what you're saying entirely.
So we can still get to the truth. That is the import of what I'm saying. Especially, for instance, if you go to the criminal realm, where you see a lot of people who are being victimized, who things are, the problem we have is to fix the judiciary. The judges are having, and that is the first point.
Oh, okay. Mazi Okorafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, our guests, both of Sky and the studio.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. So, the issue why Nigeria is having all these doubting commodities at one. In Nigeria, you see that there are some judgments you will get. Somebody stole 20 billion or 50 billion. The judge will give him 6 months sentence. And somebody will just misappropriate just 50,000 or 800,000. They'll be given 8 years imprisonment. That is why you see all these doubting commodities there. But the question is it not possible for Nigeria to put a leaf from the legacy from the old judges that have died, those lives?
Oh dear.
Okay.
Today, Nigeria should celebrate them. Like Okuta, they say Okuta. When the Okuta panel came, Nigerians were very, very happy. And we saw the judgment, saw how things were moving sequentially. When Nigerians not happy, when that judgment, let's put that down. Today, that against the people, the people he left behind, they are enjoying it. That is what we call authority and people that have prudence to present to the whole world. But what do we see today? But the question is this: no matter the type of judgment you give, whether wrong or true or whatever, there is what we call the boomerang effect or bounce back effect. No matter the type of service that will come back to you, either directly or indirectly, because you will see that before you go to the grave. So that is why anywhere you find yourself, keep evidence so that when you go, there are some people when they work in a place, by the time they leave, people will be celebrating because during their tenure in the office, they just bastardized, destroyed, turn the thing into that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mazi. And also to apologize to Chukwuma Ezeala. It looks like it froze that time because what you landed with, well, that is one. Suggesting that there was more to come, but the network had dropped out. Chukwuma, are you with us? Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. Can you remember your train of thought, because you had gotten up to now that is one, and then we couldn't hear anything anymore.
Okay. Okay, no, the area I was going at that time was to state that moving forward, I was about concluding. So what I was saying is, moving forward, we need to be careful, both as lawyers, as judges, in our discovery of the truth. And I also trying to make the point that whether you have money or not, you have whether you can afford to hire a senior advocate or a senior lawyer. And I also mentioned the issue of the criminal aspect of it. And there are a lot of good lawyers who are there to assist the people that are falsely accused of having committed crime. And sometimes they can get. But the main area was that I said that we have to concentrate on the judiciary.
Yeah.
How to get the judiciary to work properly.
Exactly.
Number one is that the judiciary, sometimes you have judges that have more than 50 cases in a day. Some judges have up to 3,000 in their dockets. How do they discharge the functions? They don't have time. And this is where we need to look at so as to ensure that justice is not only done, but is seen to be done. In other climes, a lawyer comes to court today. The next week, he comes to court. Within 3 months and within 1 year, he completely discharges the entire matter. And that is where we should aim at, and that is where we are supposed to get to.
Okay, Chukwuma, one moment, please, Chukwuma.
Yes.
Chidi in Kafanchan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Compliments of the season.
Same to you. Compliments of the season.
Yes, the discussion that is going on this morning, I want to take a little contribution.
Go ahead, please.
The step the agency has taken so far is quite commendable. If it will be met to the letter in terms of dealing decisively with the erring judges and lawyers alike, I want to believe that if this is properly put in place, some of these erring lawyers will have to know the right thing to do, and justice will be given to Nigerian litigants. And sometimes, if there is no need of any litigation, such should not come up. Thank you very much, and God bless Nigeria.
Indeed. Thank you very much as well for calling in. Well, most Nigerians are happy that the NJC has taken due notice, has indeed acted on the matter. But they are, I would guess, a lot of people are saying, but you didn't go far enough.
Well, I can tell you, well, they have tried. This is not the first time that conflicting orders will be given, especially when election is coming. Like, for instance, in 2015, it was terrible. In 2019, it was horrible. And even during the run-up to the, Edo State governorship election, they have sought a lot of conflicting orders. Nothing happened to those judges. And there was a particular judge in federal court in those days that he was given this thing. He was dismissed around 2005, 2002. But then what are we saying? I can tell you, I used to tell people, two people, let us say, leave lawyers and judges stand very well, and the press stand very well. I can tell you, the problem of Nigeria will be solved in less than a year. That is just the truth of the matter. But in a situation whereby a matter will go on in court for 7-8 years, and you will conclude, and you get to Supreme Court, the matter is dismissed, and on technical grounds, or it takes a long time before it finishes. Governor Dariye, former Governor Dariye, former Governor Yame, they were jailed, but after 12 years and 14 years of trial. So you can see, and so is that justice? It's not justice to the system.
Yes.
It's not justice to the accused person.
It isn't.
You waste a lot of money.
Indeed.
And in some cases, you have finished the matter, all of a sudden they upturn it, and can you come back? The witnesses are no longer there. So these are the problem. We must, quick dispensation of justice is very important.
Okay, Ada in Jos, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning to your guest. I'm calling from Jos Plateau. Very interesting topic and controversial.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. Even myself, that is not learned, they say they are learned. When I heard all these conflicting orders, from Anambra to Sokoto and I screamed. I'm telling you. I like to what's happening in this country. That is at my own level. They're not to talk of somebody who is learned. All I'm saying is that it's not a mistake. It has continued because nobody has been given a commensurate sanction. So they think it's business as usual. I commend the agency, but for me, if you ask me, outside hack, so this is madness we saw. Then those lawyers that are handling the cases for the so-called governors or the politicians, they should ban them from practicing for 6 years. Let us sanitize the system. It's because I'm telling you, you know, so it's going to be a disaster.
Okay.
If we don't sanitize our judicial system.
Indeed.
Honestly, then I want to ask one question, please.
Okay.
I know that the exam is very important. You know, they're well versed in the law and all that. But should the truth be determined by somebody having a exam?
No.
I want your lawyer there to answer it, please.
Not at all, and it is not the practice actually, but it's just the people that believe so.
Okay.
People, they are so, just
Thank you very much, Ada. We'll let go of you now. Thank you very much, Ada.
Just like Mr. Chukwuma Ezeala said that there are young lawyers who are better off 10 times than many senior advocates of Nigeria. You know, and they are doing well in their own calling. You understand? But people already believe that, oh, being a senior advocate, it will do better.
Yes.
It's just like when you say, oh, a soldier of 30 years will be better than a soldier of 10 years.
Well,
it's not always so.
I hear what you're saying.
Serious cases. And again, all these things, you already defeat yourself. It's just like people don't know that when your lawyer do bad thing, you can report him and they will withdraw his license.
They don't
the
know.
least they normally get is 5 years. So people get up to indefinite this thing. They will strike up your name. You are not a lawyer.
Okay.
But people don't report it.
Let me return to Chukwuma Ezeala. Ada was suggesting, and I think it had been mentioned earlier, that we've talked about the judges. They are the gatekeepers. Not very much is supposed to get past them. That is not in the realm of the truth. But the lawyers won't bring the kone sense to run from Anambra to the north. We've talked about the lawyer entertaining it once they get to the north. But those lawyers that brought up that particular idea and notion, people seem to be saying that they deserve perhaps even more punishment than the judges. What would you say?
No, I've already commended the national president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Akata. During the NEC meeting yesterday, National Executive Committee meeting yesterday in Abeokuta, it was agreed that those lawyers should be referred to the disciplinary committee.
Oh, all right.
They will be punished.
Okay.
And what I would also request Akata is to...
I beg your pardon. I have you with me, but we have a call from, the U.S.? If it's good morning, who is in the U.S. with us?
Good morning.
James. James.
Yes.
Good morning, James.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. I just have a quick...
Sure, quickly.
Now, what is the law really in Nigeria regarding somebody that actually gives the bribe? Not just the person that takes it. But what's the law of the people that actually give the bribe?
Yes. Okay.
The giver is as guilty as the taker.
Yeah, quite frankly, we all know this. I suspect even you know it, James, that both the giver and the receiver, they're both guilty, or they're equally culpable before the law.
Yeah, because
they've been hearing this.
If there's no receiver,
he wants to make a point. Let me hear the point he wants to make. James.
So what is the percentage of times that the bribe gets prosecuted? Amen. Because to me, I'm looking at this entire issue. You know, it all boils down to the university, as Mr. Yori always likes to. And it's so simple like that. They are all the same thing. You have to be able to, you attorneys are social.
Of course.
To be able to
yes.
educate the society itself.
The line is not very good.
Okay.
James.
You have a situation where nothing is actually true in Nigeria. I mean,
okay. Thank you very much for calling in. The line is not the best, but we did get the points that you were making. And all those things are, quite frankly, known by every, let me not exaggerate and say primary school kid. Every secondary school kid knows that you steal something, somebody else keeps it, both of you are going to find yourself in a court of law.
Yes.
And we don't need to go to law school for that.
Exactly.
But the point I think he is making is, to what extent are these statutes observed. And I think that is the big problem.
Yes.
It's a rhetorical question.
Yes.
Our
problem in Nigeria is not lack of laws.
But
laws are adequate.
But keeping them,
but
abiding by them.
But because we don't use them, we will now say, okay, go and bring this again. In Nigeria police, we have the special fraud unit, which is capable of doing the job of the FCC. Okay. We have in the police, we have the traffic warden, we do the road safety. But when they are not efficient, they will create another agency. When the agency will still not work about
we've got to leave it now. I think we've heard this a bit. We've taken notice that the NJC itself has taken notice of misbehavior on the bench, and I want to thank you, Chukwuma Ezeala, Esquire, lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for making time available for us this morning, and we appreciate you. And same goes to you, of course, Mr. Kabir Akingbolu, human rights activist and legal practitioner.
It's a pleasure for always having me.
And so we've got to leave it here. But I started off with this whole matter of COVID-19. Please do not play down this. What is it? This Omicron version, variant of COVID-19. Do everything you can that you've always known how to do. Do not downplay it. See if you can get a booster jab. You need the booster jab, and government started making that available as from last week. God willing, we'll see each other on Monday. That's what I usually say by road, but let me just tell you, on Monday it's going to be Nifemi Oguntoye who's going to be sitting in the chair, because yours truly will be off on vacation for a couple of weeks. But Nifemi, Oguntoye will be on the seat, and he'll be with you. Until then, I say bye for now and take good care. I've tried my best as well. Bye-bye.